Welcome to Lime Rock. I'm Nick, founder and coach at Corner Faster. We host test days for current racers and an SCCA accredited school for the next ones. This video is part of a 10-part series where we take a look at Lime Rock Park in the iRacing simulator and go from a virtual track walk up to race ready. We've now reached the 10th video out of 10 in the series, and this is all about driving Lime Rock in the rain. What's this place like in the wet, and how does the line and approach change? We're going to hop in the sim and follow along in the chase camera on a damp lap. And in general, we're going to take the dry line, but make a few adjustments. First is we're going to avoid hanging out in those apex grooves where there's slick paint and some water. As you can see, it's slick there. Some water develops and can pick up. Also going to avoid the curb here, the left-hander, and again, the apex curb where it's really slick on the right-hander. For the most part in the dry, it's 99% of grip, and then all of a sudden, it's nothing. So basically trying to avoid the shiny stuff as a little bit of water's picked up on the track. On parts that are wet, like we can't really avoid going through that wetness at the apex of West Bend, went a little bit far onto the wet exit. We just want to make sure our inputs are as smooth as possible, steering, gas, and brake. So again, for the most part, it's a dry lap, except way trickier in those 1% of spots. Looks like the rain's picked up on this next lap. The place is soaked, and as you can see, there's standing water pretty much all the way down the front straightaway. So we're going to try to miss that in the slick white line, miss the lake at the apex, and run just a little bit of a rim shot around Big Bend without getting on that exit curb. Again, we're going to try to miss all of the standing water on the inside of the left-hander and the right-hander. Toss just a little bit too much weight transfer there. End of the uphill being really smooth. There's a lot of standing water at the bottom of the hill. The car does funky things as it gets collected into the hill, so we're basically ready for anything, keeping as balanced as possible. Go around West Lake, if you will, at the apex of West Bend. And really tricky to avoid the standing water at turn-in, apex, and exit for the downhill. That's a tricky lap, and if you can't keep it all straight, running right down the middle of the track on the crown is probably the safest bet, but otherwise try to avoid the standing water and keep it smooth in these long, fast corners at Lime Rock in the wet. That's it for content for this video, and that wraps up our 10 video series for Lime Rock. So check out cornerfaster.com and we'll see you at the track. Thanks for watching.